Fans of all kinds of all sports, welcome back to Max on Boxing. I'm Max Kellerman. Been talking a lot on this show about this golden era we seem to be in the early stages of in the heavyweight division. The weight class is as good as it's been in a couple of decades. The last great heavyweight era took place in the 1990s. The one before that, the 70s. Normally, the division stinks. Often, there's a dominant champion with an uninspiring or dry technical style, or who people feel lacks charisma outside of the ring, the great Larry Holmes or Vladimir Klitschko. If we're lucky enough to get a dynamic champion, he may be the only great fighter in the division, so his fights aren't usually competitive, like the days of Joe Louis or early Mike Tyson. Very rarely, every 20 years or so, we get a handful of excellent or even great heavyweights with fan-friendly styles and engaging personalities in their prime at the same time. Ali, Frazier, Foreman and company in the 70s. Holyfield, Tyson, Lewis, Bowe, and a bunch of colorful contenders in the 90s. Not the case with some of the lighter weight classes. The welterweights, that's 147 pounds, are usually really good. Like right now, they're really good. Crawford and Spence and Thurman and more. What was the super fight of the last era? Mayweather-Pacquiao, even if it did happen 5 years too late. Weight class, welter. Before that, De La Hoya-Mayweather. Welter. Before that, De La Hoya-Trinidad. Welter. When we talk about the 80s, we wax nostalgically about Leonard and Hagler and Hearns and Duran. We're talking about welter to middleweight, 147 to 160 pounds, where the greatest fighter who ever lived, Sugar Ray Robinson, spent most of his career. But we have to wait 20 years between great heavyweight eras? What gives? The standard answer is that the middleweight classes are best because while the heavies are strong and the lightweight classes are fast, the middles are both. And there's probably some truth to that, but I think there's more to it. If you plot the male population of the United States on a bell curve, the average American male stands a little under 5'10" and weighs close to 200 pounds because most of us are fat. Fighting weight for a guy around 5'10" would normally be 160 pounds. That's a middleweight. Much less of the population is over, say, 220 pounds in fighting shape. So from a larger pool of potential fighters, you'd expect to find more good ones, and from a smaller pool, fewer. But boxing normally skews even smaller than you'd expect based on the general population. Mayweather, Durant, Pernell Whitaker, De La Hoya, so many others started at junior lightweight and lightweight, 130, 135 pounds, and got bigger as they aged. It stands to reason that the one potentially lucrative sport that stratifies by size would disproportionately attract good small athletes. You don't, after all, get extra credit for being the best pound-for-pound linebacker or shortstop. Baseball, and obviously football and basketball, select out for size. Yes, there's Jose Altuve and Darren Sproles and Isaiah Thomas, and they're mostly over 160, 170 pounds. But they're the exceptions that prove the rule. If you're a great 154-pound athlete, you're at a disadvantage in any other major American sport because you have to compete against other great and much larger athletes. But in boxing, you only have to compete against other, say, 154-pounders. Add to this the fact that in the mid-'70s, the average offensive lineman in the NFL made something like $30,000 or $40,000 a year, while a shot at Muhammad Ali could be worth 10 times that or more. And there was incentive back then for good big athletes to go into boxing. But now there are hundreds of multi-million-dollar jobs in the NFL, never mind the NBA. NBA, no one's even tackling you. The answer to the question, where are the great American heavyweights, is obvious. They're still fighting on network on TV, but they're doing it on the blind side of the quarterback. Khalil Mack versus Jason Peters for the heavyweight championship of the NFC. Soccer doesn't select out for size the way the most popular American sports do, basketball and football, which may be one of the reasons they have taken over at heavyweight across the Atlantic since the turn of this century. First, Britain's Lennox Lewis, then Germany by way of Ukraine's Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko, and now back to Britain's Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. It took a Deontay Wilder, who is so obviously a fighter in his core, and is also not nearly as massive as the others, by the way, to truly rep the United States again. So this is a rare occurrence, this heavyweight division we now enjoy, with three big, engaging stars on top and dangerous and colorful contenders below. And as is usually the case, the middleweight divisions are as healthy as ever.